Okay. This is gonna be an interesting one. This is more for me more than anything. Obviously there's not going to be any gameplay. It's not scripted. And it's going to be really hard for me to talk about. But I feel like I need to. Because I didn't get to say everything I wanted to during the funeral. In order for me to give good context, you have to understand, I have to leave some background information. I had a very troubled childhood. I didn't have the greatest mom. I had a really hard time growing up. Between battling with depression, suicide, to being bullied nonstop and being expected to help basically raise my brothers and sisters was really tough on me. By the time I hit middle school, my anxiety had gotten so bad, excuse me, that I was having a hard time eating, sleeping, you name it. Basically, the pressure got so severe that I literally couldn't handle public school anymore. I mean, and I had friends, you know, and stuff, but my friends, they weren't the kind of friends that I could sit there and and I felt like I could be open with. Not like they weren't bad or anything like that, but they was just the type of friendship I had with them. I didn't feel like I was able to be honest or let my guard down. And I didn't. Literally got in trouble so much at school just because I started to freak out and started pushing back to all the kids that kept pushing me around and it got real tough. What, honey?
What are you doing?
I'm streaming.
What are you talking about that for?
Because I'm doing a remembrance for Jordan.
Well, I didn't know what you were doing.
Oh, yeah, your Facebook's deactivated.
Oh, my Facebook's not. I turned off my... got rid of the app.
Oh. So anyway, my mom ended up having to take me out of public school because I couldn't handle it. My anxiety was like super bad. And I had, there was a church that was in the neighborhood I used to go to when I just wanted to be alone. I have two brothers and a sister, and then I had my mom, and that house was so crowded, and it was just, sometimes I needed to just be by myself. So I'd go to this church, and it was a Lutheran church, and this pastor would come out and talk to me and stuff, and he asked me, like, you know, what's going on? Why are you always out here by yourself? So I don't know why, because I don't usually do that, but I just started talking, and he made a deal with my mom and said that if she helped out, like on the weekends or something, like helped clean the church, that we could go to school. We could go to school there instead of public school. Of course, initially I thought it was a horrible idea, as at the time I definitely didn't want to go to a Christian school, but so I went. And around this time, I was really starting to become numb. Like I could just feel it. Like it was getting bad. And around this time, not too long, like maybe I would say maybe 6 months into it, I ended up my little brother ended up setting a fire at our house, and it burnt all of our electrical systems out. I think this was in my 7th grade year, something like that, like 7th grade. And excuse me, I ended up meeting Jordan, and we weren't like super close, but we would talk about, like at the time I was playing Final Fantasy 7, like a decent amount, and he had the game too, and he's like, oh yeah, you know, da 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 da, and he's, you know, we just shoot the shit about it or whatever. And then when the house got torched, we had to go live with all of us had to go live at different houses in the church, because the church was actually helping to get us a house, which was fucking crazy to me. Like, nowadays you never see that shit. So I went and stayed with a family. I mean, they were nice enough. I really liked the kids and stuff, but I just did not feel normal there at all. So one day I was talking to Jordan at school, and I was like telling him about this part I was stuck in Final Fantasy 7, like I couldn't figure it out. I don't remember what it was. And he's like, you should come over and we can, like, you know, I can show you kind of what's going on, and da-da-da. And I was like, okay. So Jordan asked his mom if I could come over, and she said yes. I honestly don't know why she said yes. If it was me, I'd be like, no. But I ended up, she said yes, and I went over there, and I don't know what it was. It was weird, because I didn't really talk. I didn't like talking to people. I didn't like people. For the most part, I still don't. And Jordan's family was so different from everything I had seen. Like, they ate dinner together and all that stuff, and like at my house, it was not like that. Like, it was feast or famine. Like, you got food or you didn't, and if you didn't, you were SOL. And we definitely didn't eat together. I mean, the closest thing to eating together would be like us sitting in the living room because we're all watching the same TV. You know, that's just not how it went down. Like, these guys, they sat together. They, you know, there was no TVs on. There was no phones. They literally just sat there and talked about their day or what they did or what they want to do. Or, you know, sometimes like Carl would yell, which Carl was Jordan's stepdad, would yell at Jordan about random stuff or whatever. You know, most of the time it was pretty pleasant for the most part, and they let me be a part of that, and they didn't know me from Adam. It was a weird experience. It was really weird, like compared to what I had been growing up with. And Jordan was just a happy guy. Like, it's hard to, like, he was born with medical problems and everything else, and he was like the most optimistic person you'd ever know until we got older. But like, it was just I don't know, it was like a breath of fresh air for me to be around people like that. He's the most loyal, nice, caring person you'd ever know. Like, he'd give the person that he doesn't even know, like, the skin off his back if they needed it. Like, he was just that person that, I don't know, you just don't find those people anymore. And most time people get jaded or mad, and it burns them out. They get screwed over, they help somebody, and that person, like, dicks them over, and then they don't want to help anybody else. Jordan wasn't like that. He'd been screwed over by so many people, and it never affected him. Never. It was such a, I don't know, it was so different compared to what most people had. Like, and my friends, while they were good guys, like, they were, it's not like I was friends with, like, high school bullies or anything. Like, my friends were good people, but not like Jordan. Jordan was one of a kind for sure. He's just like a genuine dude. And so we met, and it had to have been the end of 7th grade, early going into 8th grade, because I remember we had, well, maybe it was 8th grade. Jordan was a few years younger than me. I was in 8th, and he was in 7th or 6th grade. I don't remember. And then all I could talk about, like, that last year at the church school was, like, how I wanted to leave and how I was going to go out and make it and I can't wait to get back to public school. And my teacher at the time, really good teacher, just a fantastic teacher. He always told me, he's like, Joe, because he targeted me because I was always so vocal about wanting to leave. Like, I don't fucking care, I want to get out of here anyway, I don't give a shit, blah blah blah, because I used to, like, half-ass my homework and stuff because I didn't care. And he's like one day you're gonna miss this the time of your life. This is gonna be the part of your life that you're gonna wish that you would have, that you were still a part of. And I was like, no, fuck that, I don't care about that, whatever. I was starting to become a teenager, I was starting to be real nasty and vulgar, and I don't care about this, and I don't care about that, and I got like suspended for calling a girl a cunt, I think I said, or something, a word that I would never say now. I yelled at her because she kept kicking the back of my chair, and then like, Jordan saw me do this stuff. Like, he was there. He saw me do all this, like, fucked up stuff because I was just so, like, over it because my home life was so bad. And and I was so tired of being at this school. Like, all my friends were at school, they were, like, going on dates and stuff, and I was stuck at this private Christian school with, like, no girls my own age, and the ones that were my age were, like, really stupid. And it's like, oh, I mean, in reality they weren't stupid, but it was just my opinion at the time. And so anyway, that first year me and Jordan were friends. It got to be where I was going over there, like, every weekend. Like, it was like, I would go over, I would ask Jordan, I was like, hey, can do you think your mom will let me come over this weekend? And he's like, yeah. And Lori would, for the most part. I mean, there were some weekends obviously she'd say no, but I have a feeling it was probably due to her finances at the time. Probably she didn't have that much food in the house or something like that. But it sucked, like, when I couldn't go over there because I just wanted to go back. I wanted to live there. I didn't want to live where I was. Like, where I was, like, I had, like, super strict regulations. Like, I could only play video games for, like, 30 minutes a day and all this other shit. And I hated it. And it's not I don't fault the people there because that's their prerogative. It's their choice. It's their house. They were letting me stay there. Like, that's a big deal, you know. And I look back and I really value what those people did at the time, but I wanted to be with with Jordan. And then eventually, like, I don't know when it was, maybe like when I started high school, I would go over to there and I would talk to Lori, and me and her would talk for a long time, hours and hours, and that never changed until the last few years. Really, I still talk to her, not as much as I probably should, but I still talk to her quite a bit. She would eventually become my I don't know, I don't want to say foster, but like, just, she'd become like my mom, you know. Like, that family really took me in as like part of their own, you know. Not just me too, my brother, my real life brother, he would end up, and him and Jordan got closer than me and Jordan were until we got older. And they would invite me over all the time. Like, for every holiday, they would give me invites. Like, I'd go over there for Christmas, and I'd go over there for Thanksgiving, and I'd go over there for this and go over there for that. And I remember I was sitting there, and I forget what we were doing. I was in my mom's van, and she used to drive this like white Astro van, and it was her and her mom, which would eventually become my grandma. And like, they were like, Joe, you're part of this family. That's just the way it is. You know, if you need anything, like, it's, to them, there was no difference between me and their kids, which was so weird to me, because I don't know. Maybe I'm bitter, but my mom was like just not like that, like, at all. I'm not saying she didn't love me. I'm sure she did somewhere in there, but she didn't show it like these people did. And she would eventually resent them for doing that. But anyway, one of the first years, I don't remember when it was, my mom was like, all right, you guys got to go to church for, because she used to make us go to church for like the big holidays, like Christmas and all that stuff. I'm like, I don't want to go to church, right? And Jordan's mom's like, you have to go to church, Joe. And I really didn't want to go, but they made me go. So we're like literally just sitting in those pews, like waiting for the sermon to end, just like, okay. And normally for like Christmas time, like, we'd get like maybe 2 presents, maybe each. I mean, there's 4 kids in that house. My mom was disabled and she was on, you know, welfare. There's no way she's gonna be able to afford big Christmas present stuff. But we go back to the house and there's like a tree with like mounds of presents like under this fucking tree, you know. And like, Jordan and his family had done that, and they didn't do it just for me. They did it for my sister too, and my brothers, both of them. And that is just like the family they are. It's, again, it's hard to put it in the context or you can understand it, but these people are like the most selfless people on the fucking planet. Like, even now, if I got into a financial bind, like, I guarantee you they would help me. Guarantee it. I bet my life on it. Not that I ever plan on ever being like that again, but, you know, it's just, and anyway, Jordan is literally the best person I've ever known. And as we got older, he didn't get worse. He didn't change. I mean, his tastes would change and stuff, and he was into, but he was always the same person. Always that guy. Most loyal friend, brother, anyone could ask for. And they even like went as far as to take They took somebody else into their family too. They took a girl that I went to high school with named Stephanie in. Like, and Jordan was in love with this girl. I mean, for years. He wanted nothing more than to be with her, and I kept telling him that it wasn't in the cards. But he was hell bent. When Jordan wanted something, he went after it. And there's a certain amount of confidence that was just there with him. It was amazing. Like, he was confident with some stuff and not with others, obviously. And he would talk to me about anything. And I think that when I left, when I got older, I ended up leaving Florida, and I think that was really hard on him, a lot harder than I had thought it was. Not having me there was hard on him. And as time moved on, like, I dated this girl Brandy very short term. I mean, maybe a month, like, if that. It was not serious at all. I actually didn't like her very much at all. I don't even know why I dated her at all. And when I left Florida, Jordan started to talk to her, and he was like, hey, and he felt like super bad about it. And I was like, literally, she means nothing to me. Like, I'm not kidding you. I mean that in like every sense of the word. She means nothing. I mean, Jordan would do stuff that I didn't agree with. But it wasn't really Jordan. It was just how he was raised. Like, Jordan's mom was so good at, like, taking care of her kids that he got to the point where he didn't want to do his own laundry and stuff. And I was like, dude, you got to do your own stuff. You don't need a woman to do your clothes and stuff. But it was just how he was raised. Like, he didn't ever have to do his own laundry. His mom always did it. Stuff like that. And Jordan was raised with a certain belief system, and I can't say I disagree with it, but it was very caveman-esque, But everything else about him was fucking flawless. He is a perfect dad. Perfect. Like, he had a daughter, and that daughter would become everything and anything to him. He was the perfect dad. He stayed with her mom for years, and he did not like her, and she did not like him either at all. Both of them were just like, whatever, but he did not care. He wanted to have his daughter there. He didn't care how much she didn't like him, or whatever the case was. Jordan was perfect dad. A loving son, an amazing friend, and an even better brother. He touched so many people's lives. And I ended up moving back to Florida. When I did, I was in a financial strait. I didn't have the money to do it, and Jordan really bailed me out of that. It took me a long time to get him paid back. Actually, for the 6 months before he died, I didn't really talk to him at all because I didn't know what to say to him. I didn't know what to say to him. We were barely surviving. We're talking about like the dollar. Barely surviving, and I didn't have any money to give him. Then my son was born. And 2 days after Joey was born, I got the phone call that Jordan had passed away. And 2 days after that, hang on a second, I'm getting a phone call. Hello? sorry about that. It was just FEMA. Making sure my headset's still good. So like I said, I ended up getting a phone call 2 days after Joey was born that Jordan had died. That was a really hard phone call to get. I got a call from my real life brother who told me that Jordan had passed away. That same day, we ended up getting an inheritance check in the mail for a considerable amount of money. So the first thing I did is I paid back Jordan every penny with interest. I owed him about $4,800, and I gave them about $5,500. His birthday is this month. I'm making this video now because later in the month I'm going to be a bit busy with streaming all these new games coming out and everything, but we got the kids' Halloween coming up and all that stuff. But I just want the world to know what a great person he was and what he really meant to me, because I would not be the person I am today without Jordan and mcmickle in my life or his family. They're the greatest family I've ever known. I haven't talked to my own family in years. I don't have any desire to, because at the end of the day, when I needed somebody to talk to, I had them, always have them. They were everything that I could ever want in this world. And I do my best to be as much like my stepdad as I can, to be a good father like he was to us. I'm really, really depressed. I have been for a while now. And I'm trying my best to hold it together. But I miss Jordan more every day that he's not here. When my daughter passed away, he was there for me. He didn't give me that stereotypical, I'll put you in my prayers garbage. He was one of the few people who didn't do that. And by the way, we're on the subject, saying my thoughts and prayers are with you is totally pointless and doesn't do anybody any good. Don't even do that. Don't ever say that to anybody that's lost somebody. It doesn't mean shit. Literally, it's the most worthless thing you could say to them. That's like saying, I'm sorry you're hurting, but I have nothing to say to you. Listen to them. Just listen to them. And when they want to talk, they'll talk. Jordan, you left behind a legacy. And if I can become half of the person you were, then I will be happy. And you should still be here. After all the horrible things I've done in my life, all the bad things I've said to people, hurt people, hospitalized people, all the stuff I've done that was terrible. If anybody doesn't deserve to be here, it's me. You deserve better. You absolutely deserve better than what you got. But there's not a single day that goes by that people aren't talking about you or thinking about you. Just remember that as you move forward. And I hope everybody else has had an opportunity to know somebody like him in their life. And just don't ever take them for granted no matter what you do. Alright guys, that's all I got. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, it was more for me more than anything, but alright guys, well, take care.